Hello YouTube. Today I'm out here at the lake, as you can tell. I'm smoking my 2008 Boswell's coal finished pipe that I bought off Andrew, Pipe Full on Instagram. Smoked a few bowls through this thing now, and it's a good pipe. It is a good pipe. You can tell it has age to it. You can tell it's a 2008 pipe. You can tell it's been smoked a couple times. But I mean, it is a looker nonetheless. And again, like I've said before, I've never seen a pipe with that type of finish, that type of, I guess it's a type of rustification. Never seen anything like it before. The bowl's pretty big, got some Bob's chocolate flake in it, smoking some of that, some good stuff. I'm out here today because I had an idea for a video and figured I'd try to run with it here and see what I can come up with. For some reason, the last couple of days I've been I don't want to say real focused, but I've been thinking about some of the best laughs I've ever created. Some of the funniest moments I've shared with people. And there are two that come to mind that really stick out. I'm not sure why exactly they stick out, but I figured I'd tell about them today. Do a little story time. The first one happened, I believe it was 10th grade. It might have been 11th grade. Surprisingly, these two moments happened pretty close together. Maybe a few months apart. But they were I think the most formative laughs I've ever created, I've ever shared. So the first one, now for some context, in class, I got moved around quite a bit because I was friends with everybody, so I talked with everybody. So it didn't matter where I was in the classroom. I created friends, or I made people laugh, I distracted the class, blah, blah, blah. So the teachers moved me around quite a bit. And no matter where they put me, I made the most of my situation. So we had this careers class, they called it. And pretty much what it was is you got together in this classroom with, some of your classmates or whatever. And the teacher that we had she wasn't the guidance counselor, but kind of could have been. I don't really know her exact title besides teacher, But this whole class was try to gear us up for college, point us in the right direction. And basically all we did in it was just take a bunch of silly personality tests to figure out what kind of worker we'd be, the best field for us to go into, something stupid. It was pretty dumb. I think we had it like every Wednesday for the school year or something like that, maybe even half the school year. It felt kind of like there was good intent behind it, but it was pretty useless. And what we'd do is we'd take these tests, figure out the best career field that we'd be best suited for, and then we'd kind of discuss it at the end of the class. And what I did in this class is I always tried to nerf the tests a little bit, kind of tried to phone it in. So I'd just pick random questions, try to see what different things I could get. In this class, I remember particularly this day, the one test that we did, I got garbage man for the career choice that best suited me. And I have the utmost respect for trash men. But I thought that was pretty funny, that I was able to land. The best gig for me would be a garbage man. And I was proud to share it with the class. I had no shame in it. I love the garbage men. They come collect our trash every week. I talk to them, I get along with them, I crack jokes with them. I enjoy those people. So when it got to me to share, because my name starts with an A, I was pretty pretty early on there in the process, I had some fun with it, told a couple jokes, made some people laugh, blah, blah, blah. But that wasn't the good part. That wasn't the part that really got the huge pop out of the room. So a little later on, some other people were presenting or whatever. And now at this point, I had been moved around a few times throughout the course of the weeks. So I was sitting around some people that I was friends with, obviously. I knew them. I didn't hang out with them after school or whatever. But, I was sitting around them and we were talking. And the one kid that was behind me, he knew that I could get off topic pretty quickly. And I didn't mind distracting or disrupting. So sitting behind me, we're talking, we're carrying on when we shouldn't be. And the teacher tells us to stop, tells us to knock it off. And as a, respectable human being, all of us, we all agreed. We were like, you know what, you're right. We're acting out. We'll give it a rest. A few minutes later, maybe not even a few minutes later, maybe 30 seconds later, the kid behind me asked me a question about football, the Steelers or something. And completely forgetting that we just got yelled at for talking and disrupting, I turn around and start talking to him. And we have a full conversation. The teacher stops class. The kid that was presenting their thing, whatever they had, couldn't beat Trash Man, I know that. But whatever they were presenting, she had him stop and just turned and looked at us. And the whole class turned and looked at me and my friend while we talked about football. And this went on for a couple minutes before I realized. He realized right away because he was facing everybody. I was turned around talking to him facing the back of the room. And we just kept going. Until the teacher finally grew impatient enough to where she interrupted us. The audacity. Come on. We're deep in conversation about football. You're going to interrupt us? Come on. The kid ain't talking about being a trash man. What's it matter? So anyway, she yells at us. And I turn around and face her. And I apologize. From the bottom of my heart, I felt. It was a sincere apology. I looked at it, I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I apologize. You just yelled at us. It won't happen again. And without missing a beat, she looked at me and she said, if you were truly sorry, you would have never turned around and started talking to begin with. With some attitude, some spark. We like to see that out of teachers nowadays. I like to see a little spark. I like to see them get a little fired up. It caught me by surprise. I wasn't used to teachers talking like that. So I was taken aback. I kind of leaned back in the chair a little bit. I was like, okay, I see you. But still, I wanted to be respectful. I wanted to show her that she was right. So, I looked at her, kind of waited a second. A little suspenseful, get the whole class looking in on me. Because they all just witnessed a freak out, so to say. And I looked there and I said, well, you got me. I don't care that much. I apologize. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. But you got me. If I truly was sorry the first time, I wouldn't have turned around. And when I hit that, well, you got me. The whole class erupted. It was hilarious. It was fantastic. But there was a girl in the back of the class who I wasn't really friends with. I didn't really know too much about her. She had the biggest laugh of the whole room. The biggest pop came from her. It was pretty incredible. It was such a big pop that everybody turned and looked at her immediately. She got red in the face, obviously, and, kind of put her head down on the desk, hit herself from the whole room, but it was a huge pop. The whole room erupted, obviously. It's funny. We're all disrespectful kids. We all thought it was just as funny. Now, the teacher, she didn't like it too much, but what are you going to do? Just being honest. But the reason that pop, that laugh, was so formidable I think that's the right word, was because that led to me and that girl becoming really, really good friends for quite a while. In that moment, I've talked about it before, but it kind of kicked off that natural conquest to just life, to life forming in front of you, creating a friendship, creating a bond through a singular moment, that establishes future progress. And at the time, I think it was the biggest pop I've ever received. But the second story, that's the biggest pop I've ever received. This one happened, like I said, just a few months later, maybe a couple weeks later, I really don't know. Had to be the following school year, so probably a couple months. We had an English class. I had it first period. Now, I've never been very good with remembering to do stuff over weekends. Well, when I was in school, was never real good at it. Because Friday, there was high school football. Saturday, there was college football. Sunday, there was NFL football. And any makeup work that I had to do from the weekend that the teacher allowed me to do for Tuesday, there was Monday night football on. So it rarely ever got done. At this point, football completely, my life revolved around football. I didn't play it, I couldn't play it, because I had a brain tumor removed from my cerebellum when I was 7 years old, or 9 years old, one of the two. But anyway, we have this English class, and the teacher assigned us a project to do over the weekend on Friday. Now, like I said, if you give me weekend homework, it ain't getting done. Because there's high school football, there's college football, there's NFL football. And I do not care about my schoolwork more than football. So, I'm watching football all weekend. And the project, the homework we had to do was a project on naturalism versus realism. Now, I can't really explain the difference between the two. Don't really care that much to do so, and I don't think you guys would really care if I did that anyway. So, there were like 6 different formats that we could choose from. We could create a parody song, establishing the difference, explaining similarities, but establishing the differences. We could write a paper on it, but we had to use picture evidence. We had to download pictures online and present them with our paper. There were a couple other stupid things we could have done. Now, we had 2 student teachers at this time who were very young. Older than us, obviously, but they were pretty young. They were probably early 20s. They were all right looking. I know me and the boys in the class, we got a kick out of it. And it was kind of their first big project that they were doing with the class. So there was a lot of excitement. The teacher, the main teacher, really wanted to make sure, she wanted to really hammer it home that we were to take this serious. So on Monday, we came in, and only about half the class had actually done the project over the weekend. The other half forgot, ignored it, whatever. I had completely forgotten about it. Now, if I would have remembered it, I would have ignored it, but I had completely forgotten about it. So we went in Monday, and she told us, she said, okay, this project that half you guys did and half you guys didn't do, this grade's going to be worth, like, I don't know, half your credit for the semester or something dumb. I don't know. She was trying to put fear into us, trying to get us to do this. She said, the ones of you that didn't do it, you have to spend all day, or, you have to spend this period, this 45-minute period, getting this project ready to go for tomorrow, and then whatever you don't finish today, you have to do tonight. And tomorrow, when you go to present it, you can only get a certain amount of credit. I think the best we could have gotten for the second day was like a B or something like that. Like, she wasn't giving A's out to the second day people. You know, my grades weren't really hurting in this class, but I didn't feel like doing all that for 45 minutes, and I knew it was Monday, and I knew there was football on that night. I think the Cowboys played that night, so there was no chance I was doing any of it on Monday. She also said if we didn't have it done Tuesday, she was going to fail us for that, project. Just a big fat F, no makeups. Understandable. It's the student teacher's big break. I understood. So I whipped something up. Right before class started, I'm sitting there, I'm in like a panic almost. I'm like, man, I'm not doing this today. I'm not doing this tonight. So I drew a stick figure fish, a stick figure fisherman, a tree, stick figure tree, I guess you'd call it, and a little box house. Put it on the back of a note paper. And when she asked who all had it done and who all didn't have it done, I said that I had the project done. And, she said this was about half the credit for the semester. So I was really taking a gamble here, taking a huge risk. I had stick figures that I was going to present. And there were kids that did song parodies, that wrote out whole papers for it and had pictures. Some kids wrote like little short stories for it. They did all this, the whole nine. This is a weekend project. This is a big deal. And I whipped mine up in about 35 seconds. We get into the room. The student teachers were assigned to, go over it, review our projects or whatever. We had to present them live in the flesh. And we had to present them to the room. And like I said, about half of us had it done, so half of us went to this little side room to do our projects, do our presentations. Now, knowing that I only had about 35 seconds worth of material, I made sure I went dead last. The way they sat us around the table, there's a boat moving through here, so you might hear it. We sat at a table, there were probably about, 12 of us, I'd guess. And the teachers made it pretty clear who they were going to start with, and they were going to go around the table. So I was like, okay. If I slide in here at the very end, I'm thinking in my head, best case scenario, we run out of time on the presentation. Some kids go a little long here, and mine gets pushed back. They think I have it done today, but I can't present it today because we ran out of time. So I get a little extra time to figure this out here. Best case scenario, I'm thinking. So they present around the room, and we're moving quick. These kids, they have fantastic projects. I mean, the kids that had it done really took this stuff serious. I didn't. So I'm, starting to sweat a little bit. I'm going, okay, I really got to come up with something here because it's looking like I'm going to have to present. It does come to me eventually, before the day's done. And I had the paper, I folded it up and I had it in my pocket, so it didn't look like I had anything. The whole time everybody's presenting. The student teachers are having fun with it. The kids are getting, I don't think they're announcing the grades publicly, but, you can tell that they're impressed with what's going on. It gets to me and I pull my little paper out and I unfold it. And I started off with a joke right away. I said, now everybody, you guys, great presentations, great projects. It's really cool seeing everybody come together with all these different creative ideas, these different creative strategies. It's really cool to see everybody's expression through their work. And I said, this is my expression. I turn my paper around, and it's a stick figure fish, a stick figure fisherman, a stick figure tree, and a stick figure house. And what shocked me was the student teachers erupted first. The kids were all like, you're kidding. He has nothing. But the little monologue I did there at the very beginning set it up, I guess, perfectly for them. That they cackled. It was fantastic. And so I felt like I was off the hook. I had nothing prepared at all, but I had them laughing within the first 10 seconds of it. So I could just freelance pretty much. I could just kind of wing it and see what happens. And as long as I kept them laughing, I figured I'd be all right. So that's what I did. I can't explain how I got through the presentation. I believe that it went about 5 minutes though. Everybody else's kind of went about the same amount of time. I know I kept up with everybody else's pace. And by the end of it, I had the student teachers crying, laughing. I mean that. They were crying. They were wiping tears away from their eyes as I finished up my presentation. And by this time, the whole room was, in real good spirits too. Everybody was having a good time. I wish I could have recorded it. I wish I would have had the ability to film that, because it was the greatest reaction I've ever had to anything I've ever done in school. And I think about it all the time because I wish I could remember it. But out of everybody that presented that morning, I got the best grade. And all I did was draw a stick figure fish, a stick figure house, a stick figure fisherman, and a stick figure tree. I got an A-. The next closest best grade was like a B+. And I did it just because I got them to laugh. I got the whole room to laugh. It was the greatest feat I've ever done. Now, that was formidable because that gave me a desire to want to do stand-up comedy. I've never done stand-up comedy, and I never will, because I can't write jokes. I'm an on-the-spot personality type comedian. This boat's getting pretty close to me here. You guys can't see it, but I can. So it made me want to pursue that, and then I started watching all these comedians on YouTube, and then I kind of hit an interesting point in life, and these comedians really helped get me through it. These different podcasts, specials, stuff like that. So it was formidable because it was another natural element to what became my life. This little 35-second, I got to figure something out, I got to write this down, led to me falling in love with comedy and helping or using comedy as a tool to get me out of the rut that I later fell into. It's just interesting how it all comes full circle like that. That's all I got. Just came out here to tell you those two stories. I hope you guys enjoy listening to it. I hope you get a kick out of it. I hope it's as funny being retold as I could possibly make it. But if it's not, sorry I had to bear through that. We'll see you guys later.